So Candace Owens just insinuated that Erika Kirk is a liar. Watch this clip.
It's looking to me like the apparent plan was to assassinate Charlie Kirk, who had at long last faltered on the pro-Israel cause. Okay, his words, not mine. And then to stage a hostile takeover of his brand and of his legacy by pretending that his best friends in the world were like Susie Wiles and co. Somehow she made it onto the stage to eulogize him at this very public event. It's so publicized, we can't even doubt. I mean, obviously, look who he's having speak. Your job around the world is to now support this administration and this administration's efforts because we've turned this event into an effective Trump rally. It looks that way to me. Then they were going to tell Americans, as Pastor Rob McCoy did, that it just so happened that Charlie Kirk kept notebooks and diaries. He was so diligent that he wrote down his succession plan featuring who he wanted to take over for the organization in the event of his untimely death. Like, he just, in the third notebook, he was like, oh, and if I accidentally get shot on campus, here's what you should do. Call Erika. And then after you call Erika, come find this notebook. And in this notebook, you'll see that I am using adjectives like fantastic and heroic to describe Mikey McCoy. And if during this process of our imagination, common sense comes on and we're like, but wait, Charlie, wasn't he like a boy genius? He's a pretty bright kid. Wouldn't he have maybe formalized that succession plan outside of like a diary? Maybe call one of his many lawyers, maybe formalize it in a will, because that's what you're supposed to do if you are thinking about dying and you need to make a plan. You make a will. I'm sure he had a will. No, he wanted to put it in these notebooks. And then the plan was to guilt us, I think, to try to haunt us with the ghost of Charlie's notebooks that we're never going to be allowed to read, but we're supposed to accept that they most definitely read, like for sure. That's what it feels like. Do you agree? I think their thought process was it will be much easier for us to control the spirit of Charlie Kirk than the actual living, breathing Charlie Kirk. That's the vibe that I'm starting to get as I keep.
So for me, Candace Owens just in general today outdid herself. I mean, actually coming right out and saying that it was an inside job with TPUSA, which we all already knew that she was blaming TPUSA. But she's usually the queen of like saying things and insinuating things without actually saying them. So for her to come right out and say it is just beyond the pale. I think it's so crazy and so sad what she is doing to her friend's legacy and organization. But I want to address a couple things in this clip. Most importantly, she acts like it's so crazy. This idea that Charlie Kirk might have kept these notebooks that detail a succession plan. A couple things on that. Number one, she herself has said that Charlie had a feeling that he was going to die young. So if a young man has a feeling that he's going to die young, and then he also is in charge of what becomes a very powerful, influential organization, you don't think that he would have a succession plan? That he would detail it meticulously in notebooks? Why is that so crazy? Why is that so hard for you to believe? Why is that so suspicious? Why does that raise a red flag for you? On top of that, if you're insinuating that these notebooks might not exist at all, or at least not exist in the way that they have a detailed succession plan in them, you are calling Erika Kirk a liar, because Erika Kirk has spoken about these notebooks and the fact that Charlie left for her a blueprint. And now she's in charge of the company, so it kind of seems like a succession plan.
What do you hope to achieve for Charlie and for the country?
Oh my goodness. All of his wildest dreams for this organization and more. He left me a blueprint in all of his journals, but more so than...
Are you calling Erika Kirk a liar? Number three, do you also know that he didn't have a will? Like, have you seen it? Have you verified that? It's entirely possible that he had both a legally binding set of documents and also these notebooks that he left to his wife or his closest allies. Number four, the fact that Candace and her fans genuinely believe that they, or at least Candace, has a right to basically see everything with her own eyes is really disgusting. Candace genuinely believes that she has a right to every piece of footage from that day. She has been upset when TPUSA will not give her every piece of footage that they have from that day. She has been upset when they will not release the 4K footage from behind, which would be a new angle of him being shot in the neck. And it's, oh, well, we've already seen him be shot from a bunch of different angles. What's one more? Not thinking about his widow or his children or anybody else. She genuinely believes that she has a right, apparently, to these notebooks, or else she's not going to believe that they exist until she sees Charlie's private diaries in his own writing with her own eyes, and you know, preferably, ideally, releases them out to the whole world on her show. And I'm sorry, but you guys don't have a right to every single piece of evidence, to every single piece of everything that was private of Charlie's. You don't have a right, and stop acting like vultures. It's really disgusting. But then again, this is the same woman who basically releases a new private text exchange with Charlie every single week. And the last thing I want to say is, you know, she dismisses Charlie's memorial as they basically turned it into a Trump rally. Again, this is another dig at his wife, who obviously had a huge hand in planning his memorial, and probably spoke to him about maybe what a memorial would be like, again, if this man thought that he might die young and left her a succession plan. But regardless, Charlie Kirk's memorial was Charlie Kirk's memorial. It wasn't anyone else's memorial. And that's the same thing that I used to say when people would talk about the pyrotechnics and how ostentatious they thought that was. Charlie liked pyrotechnics. They're all over America Fest, if you've ever been. Whenever anyone comes on stage, they'll probably be there next month. And it's fitting that at Charlie's memorial, there would be things that Charlie likes. And by Candace's own words, Charlie dedicated basically his entire career, because it's been 10 years now, to Trump, to getting Trump elected, to getting him reelected, to furthering the MAGA movement and MAGA candidates. So it's fitting that Charlie's memorial would be something like a Trump rally, would be very Trump-centric and have a lot of people from the Trump administration. That's fitting because this man dedicated himself to politics and explicitly to Donald Trump, which you yourself have said. So anyone who wants to say that the memorial was too this, too Christian, too political, too Trump-centric, too whatever, it wasn't your memorial. And to me, it just seems like Candace Owens honestly is bitter that she was not invited to speak. I firmly believe that's why she didn't attend. It had nothing to do with the feds being in charge of it or whatever. Everyone else was safe and fine. She's not special. It was about not being invited to speak. And unfortunately for her, she can't blame it on her position on Israel or on the Jews controlling everything or the Zionist Trump administration, because Tucker Carlson was invited to speak. And Tucker Carlson is also going to be at America Fest. So Candace Owens has like no one but herself to blame. Clearly it's something personal, and it seems like she's bitter about that. Anyways, I just wanted to share that with you guys because I don't know, at a certain point I have to stop commenting on her and just say, call me when she actually proves who murdered him, which is never going to happen. But it just blows my mind, like how low someone can stoop and still be beloved by so many people. It's so abundantly clear that this is not what Charlie Kirk would want, just tearing down his organization, insinuating that all of his closest relationships, including his wife, might be lying about every little thing. Like, I don't know, it makes me very, very, very sad. As a former Candace fan and as a current Charlie Kirk and TPUSA fan, it makes me really sad.